200 to 300
kg. Of course, you have transportation problems here, but it's in Western Europe and in America, it's common that every picker picks at least 1,000 kilograms a day. And that's because he has not to climb into the tree and he can handle it from the soil.
He does not need to carry it also.
Sorry?
He does not need to carry it also.
No, that's right. Because you saw in the presentation this morning that you have a tractor with all these bins behind, so you put it in. But at least, I said at least 1,000. If they are doing well and you have big apples, it can go up to more than 1.5 tons, so 1,500. But they have no transport, just picking.
Just picking.
8 hours, 9 hours. Something like that. Why have you bended all these branches?
In order to get more
To reduce the vegetative growth.
Make the leader more dominant so that it becomes thicker and reaches the top.
Yeah, but the question is now that this is somewhat going over the under part. Like I told you this morning, you should be a pyramidic, and this is not a pyramid anymore. This is become too wide. And there are two solutions, or you try to find shorter branches here, like this one. This is one that you should keep. What are we going to do with these ones? That's the question.
get them to the weaker branch by cutting them off from here.
This is one possibility, and in this case, it can be a good possibility because your growth is not enormous. But if you have enormous growth with shoots of about 80 to 100 centimeters, and you are cutting like this, you will have shoots of 1 meter here, and that's what you don't want. In that case, is more on order what I told you this morning. If you have a lot of growth, it's better to remove whole branches. And that would be an option as well. I think I'd better keep that one, but this one is not with many side branches. I want to remove this one. Why? Because this what we call the frame of the tree, and that should be somewhere between 60 and 100 meters from the soil, level. This should be the basis. From somewhere, this is okay. Here to here, this should be the frame. The frame. This should be the heaviest, the thickest ones, and also the longest ones. So this should be the frame of the pyramid. And in this case, this is a very wrong one, for many reasons. There's one basic rule that I told you already last year, maybe some of you remember, that the side branch may never be thicker than the half of the head branch. This one is as thick as this one, even thicker almost. So this is the one, it's the end of the story. I will add another thing now. We were talking about canker. And if you have the most dangerous period for canker, which is the late autumn, you don't want roots like this, because potentially this is a dangerous place that you can infect with canker. Do you have canker in your plantation?
Overall we have.
Here?
Overall. Not in the young trees. Not in the young trees, but of course in the older trees we do have.
But if you have just in the neighborhood of such a young plantation and you have canker spots in your trees, try to remove them as much as possible. Don't be very keen on it to keep it just removed. Because if you have a kind of place, then you have a basis for infection. It's an infection source. And if there's no infection source, you don't have to worry about such a wound. So that's important.
So you would suggest we start pruning in February?
Yes. Yes. Depending on your problems with canker. But for that reason, we never prune apples in December or November or now January maybe sometimes. But no, that's but depending on the experience that you have with canker, the problems that you're already facing about this, there are also some varieties who are more sensitive. You were talking about this is Gala.
This is Geromine, Velox, and some Gala.
I don't know. I don't know all these specific things about red delicious because we don't grow it in Western Europe, only in Italy. There's red delicious. But anyway, this is a thing. In fact, this should have been removed already last year or even 1 year before, because now
What I have read that the first 3 years try to obtain some fruit so that you can maintain your expenditure. So after third year, remove the branches which are competing. For that reason, we kept them.
I think you're right. How much did you pick from these trees last year?
About 400. 410 kilos.
Per tree?
From this area about 4,000 kg.
एक पेड़ में से
About 5 kg.
5 kgs. And this is the third growing year.
Yeah, third growing year.
So it's not extremely high, but it's anyway much more than you are used with your traditional rootstock. So I think that's good. Another thing in this tree is the branches should not cover each other too much. This one is just exactly hanging over this one, and the frame should be between 60 and 100. So the reason for that is I killed this one. So then this gets some more light, and then it would have been better, in my opinion, that these branches 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe it's one too much even, should have been some 20, 30 centimeters lower. But it is like it is, and I cannot change it anymore, and I don't want to ruin you, so I will not cut them. But about these, it's not looking that good. I will, like this. It's not the best solution. Maybe now it's the best solution, but I want to make it more sharper. And if one of these branches is going to grow very fast, cut it off totally. Yes, maybe one a year or maybe two, but not all at the same time, because I want you to have your production. But you should keep in mind that you are working to a certain pyramid model. So basically, I think if you would have another advisor, he will say this is too much, and maybe I can agree. But to stimulate lower growth, then you should have cut earlier here. If you're cutting here, then you get here more. But for now, I'm not doing anything on it. What is the height that you want to have in the future?
11 feet.
11 feet. And that's as long as this iron pipe?
Little more.
Okay. In my opinion, it is not necessary now to stimulate growth. So for me, it's not necessary to cut in the top. You can cut, but it's not necessary. And the only thing I want to do now is I try to get as much as possible, like I told you, horizontal branches. So that means that everything which is more or less vertical is not productive in general. You have here, you have fantastic flower buds. What is the necessity of this? Nothing. What is the necessity? I leave this one because here's a bud. So this is an easy way to get it horizontal.
Now since you've done this, we just in the growing season, April, we'll have some guys come up.
And what is the problem?
No problem.
There will be a competition towards with the center
Should we
region.
remove them in the summer? Should we pinch it? What should we do?
It depends on the variety. for instance, in Yona Gold, you need a certain number of leaves to have good coloring. For Elstar, which is another variety in the Netherlands, you don't need that certain number of leaves to get good coloring. So, in general, if your color is okay while the shoots are there, don't remove them. Because also these shoots, if they come, contribute to the energy balance of the tree. It brings more, let's say, sugars into the tree stem. So there's no need to remove them unless you say, okay, they are bothering the apples for coloring. That could be a reason. But if they are bothering for coloring, you know that the coloring of the apples is low most of the time the last 2-3 weeks before harvesting. Then you can remove them, let's say 1 month before harvesting. We are starting our picking usually beginning of September, and this is what we call summer pruning. We do that in the first 2 weeks of August. So just a few weeks before harvesting. Then you have, on the one hand, you have the contribution to the energy balance, and on the other hand, the last few weeks, the sun can reach the apples very well.